From broke to billions. The Ray Dalio philosophy. The moment, everything. Broke Manhattan, 1982. Ray Dalio, 33 years old, sits alone in his cramped apartment. The coffee table is covered W. His hands shake as he dials his father's number. Dad, I need to borrow $4,000. The silence says everything. Just 6 months earlier, Ray had testified before Congress. He'd appeared on national television. He was managing millions and building a reputation as one of the brightest minds in finance. Now, 0 clients, 0 employees, 0 credibility. What happened? In August 1982, Mexico defaulted on its debt. Ray had studied every debt crisis in history. Everything pointed to one conclusion. This would trigger a catastrophic depression. He positioned his investments for disaster and went on television to warn America. Then the Federal Reserve stepped in. They coordinated with central banks and contained the crisis. Instead of collapsing, the stock market began one of the most spectacular bull runs in history. Ray had been catastrophically wrong. His clients fled, his employees quit, his reputation crumbled. At 33, with 4 young sons, Ray Dalio was broke. Most people would have given up. Ray didn't. Sitting in that apartment surrounded by wreckage, he made a decision that would change his life. He decided to figure out exactly why he had been wrong. That decision would eventually make him one of the wealthiest people on Earth. The kid who couldn't stop asking why. Ray's journey began in a middle-class Long Island neighborhood in the 1950 seconds. His father played jazz saxophone in New York clubs. His mother managed the household. They wanted their son to be safe and stable. Ray wanted something different. At 12, he started caddying at a local golf club. Rich businessmen would talk about stocks constantly, and Ray listened intently. With his caddy tips, he bought his first stock, Northeast Airlines, simply because it cost less than $5 per share. It tripled in value. Ray was hooked. Throughout high school, he invested every dollar he could scrape together. His grades were mediocre, but when it came to markets, he was obsessive. He somehow talked his way into Harvard Business School, where he developed a crucial insight. History repeats itself in patterns. If you could identify those patterns, you could predict the future. After graduating in 1973, Ray worked briefly on the stock exchange floor until he punched his boss and was fired. After a few more jobs, he made a bold move. In 1975, at 26, he started Bridgewater Associates from his 2-bedroom apartment. For 7 years, Bridgewater grew slowly. Ray advised corporations on hedging risks, helping chicken producers manage grain prices, advising companies on commodity exposure. It wasn't glamorous, but his reputation grew. By 1982, Bridgewater had real office space and was managing significant money. Then came the worst call of his career, the philosophy born from pain. Here's what most people don't understand. That moment in 1982 when Ray lost everything could have been the end, but Ray did something unexpected. Instead of running from failure, he ran toward it. He dissected it like a scientist examining a failed experiment. The question that haunted him, why was I wrong? The answer was devastating. His ego had blinded him. He'd been so confident in his analysis that he hadn't adequately considered being wrong. His need to be right had overwhelmed his need to find truth. This led to what Ray would call his most important principle: radical truth and radical transparency. What if you built an organization around the assumption that everyone, including the boss, is probably wrong about something? What if challenging ideas wasn't just permitted but required? Where staying silent when you disagreed was considered betrayal. As Ray rebuilt Bridgewater in the mid-1980 seconds, he implemented this philosophy with religious fervor. At most companies, the boss's ideas carry more weight. Disagreeing is risky. People nod along. Ray built the opposite. At Bridgewater, if you thought your boss was wrong and didn't say so, you could be fired. He created the dot collector, where employees rated each other in real time during meetings. Almost all meetings were recorded and available to everyone. Ray also began writing his principles rules that led to good decisions. After every success or failure, he'd document what worked. These notes grew into a 200-page document that became required reading. Some principles. Don't let your need to be right be greater than your need to find truth. Pain plus reflection equals progress. Be radically open-minded and radically transparent. Ray's meditation practice deepened this approach. Meditation taught him to observe his thoughts without being controlled by them, to create space between stimulus and response, to watch his ego react defensively, then choose differently. This combination, radical truth, radical transparency, and meditative self-awareness, became Bridgewater's operating system. And slowly, it began to work. The vindication. In 1987, Ray launched Pure Alpha, a hedge fund investing across all asset classes. His approach was revolutionary. True diversification meant balancing different types of risks across all economic environments. On the 19th of October 1987, Black Monday, the stock market crashed 22.6% in a single day. Panic swept Wall Street. Investors lost billions. Pure Alpha made money. Significant returns while almost everyone else hemorrhaged losses. How? Ray's systematic approach. His diversification across uncorrelated risks. His expectation that any prediction might be wrong, it all worked perfectly. Money poured in. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Bridgewater grew exponentially. Then came 2008. As the housing market cracked in 2007, Ray's team sounded alarms. When Lehman Brothers collapsed in 2008, when the financial system nearly melted down, when markets plunged 40–50%, Bridgewater was prepared. Pure Alpha made money in 2008, while the average hedge fund lost 19% and stocks crashed 37%. Bridgewater posted positive returns. It was astonishing. The 2008 crisis cemented Bridgewater's reputation as the most sophisticated institutional investor in the world. Assets soared past $100 billion by 2010, making it the largest hedge fund on earth. Ray was now worth billions. But the money was validation, proof that his philosophy worked, that the principles born from 1,982 failure were real and powerful. The philosophy goes public. In 2011, Ray published his principles online for free. Hundreds of thousands downloaded it. In 2017, he published a book version that became a has-shown bestseller. Suddenly, Ray wasn't just a legendary investor, he was a management guru and public intellectual. His message resonated because it wasn't just about investing. It was about making better decisions, learning from mistakes, building effective organizations. His openness about catastrophic failure was compelling, but the philosophy had critics. Bridgewater's culture struck many as dystopian. Former employees described constant judgment and relentless criticism. Articles called it cult-like. Ray's response: the culture isn't for everyone. Many don't make it past their first year. But for those who thrive, they become better investors and better people. The data speaks for itself, decades of exceptional returns. The legacy and lessons today. Ray is in his 70s, with a net worth exceeding $15 billion. He stepped back from managing Bridgewater, which handles approximately $150 billion. But his real legacy is the philosophy. Business leaders worldwide implement versions of radical transparency. Investors adopt risk parity strategies. Thousands use his principle daily. Ray's journey offers profound lessons. Pain is information. When Ray lost everything, he saw it as data, pointing to where he needed to grow, not catastrophe defining him as a failure. Question everything, especially yourself. Your first instinct is probably wrong. You have biases and blind spots. The only way past them is actively seeking people who disagree with you. Systems beat willpower. Ray doesn't rely on being smart in the moment. He relies on systems ensuring good decisions even when tired, emotional, or biased. Evolution requires failure. You cannot grow without failing. Failure exposes weaknesses and forces adaptation. Seek challenges you might fail at. The goal isn't wealth, it's understanding. Ray continued working long after having more money than he could spend. Understanding reality and building systems was always the drive. The final truth, Ray Dalio, proved something remarkable. You can come back from catastrophic failure. Being wrong doesn't define you, how you respond does. His story isn't about money. It's about what becomes possible when being right matters less than finding truth. When you treat pain as a teacher, when you systematize wisdom and commit to evolution. From that dark apartment in 1982, borrowing from his father, to building the world's largest hedge fund, from public humiliation to becoming one of business's most influential thinkers, from broke to billions. The Ray Dalio philosophy. Reality doesn't care about your ego, emotions, or need to be right. It simply is. The question is whether you'll align with reality or fight it. And in that choice to embrace radical truth, learn from pain, question everything, including yourself, lies the secret to not just financial success, but building a meaningful life. That's the real lesson. Not how to make billions, but how to transform failure into wisdom, ego into growth, and pain into progress.